All characters and events in this publication, other than those clearly in the public domain, are fictitious, and any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Copyright 2016 by R.L. Kooy. R.L.KooyBooks presents The Master of Names by R.L. Kooy. A reading by Jeanette Kooy. Chapter 3, Part 5.
"So, who is this fellow?" Prolius said. "This is Plum," Drake replied. Prolius scrutinized Plum for a moment. "Well, I guess you're the new student then," he said finally. Plum kept his nervous gaze on Prolius. "I guess so." "It is a great honor to be part of this school year. You will be better off than most men, and you will have a world of opportunities here that are beyond imagining." Prolius took a breath. "You will be wanted by kingdoms. Men will bow before your might, and your enemies will soon learn to fear you. This will all become apparent to you in time, but for today, I welcome you to the school. Prince Drake, would you mind excusing yourself for a few moments?" Drake bowed and said, "Yes, Headmaster." Just as he left, a man in his middle years came into the room. He had a scraggly brown beard, and he wore nothing except for a pair of brown leather sandals and a brown cloak fastened around his waist with a rather heavy belt. His rotund belly hung over the tightly fastened belt. "Ah, Jedediah! Just the man I wanted to see." Prolius greeted him. Jedediah said, "You called, Headmaster?" "I have solved your problem, Jedediah. We don't want to lose such a fine wizard. And considering you are so important to us, I'm going to give you a new job." A look of relief crossed Jedediah's face. Prolius continued, "You are going to be mentor and tutor to this boy here." Prolius gestured to Plum. Jedediah looked skeptically at the boy. Prolius, seeing his reaction, added with an optimistic tone, "Your position as teacher of the basic magic arts is being given to Professor Deacon. You can't keep holding on to the past, but the school does want to keep you. We recognize your years of service, and I think this is for the best." Jedediah sighed. "Yes, Master, I will train the boy." Jedediah went over to Plum and said in a low and raspy tone, "We haven't been introduced. I am Jedediah, former professor of the basic magics." Plum said, "And I am Plum." Shaking hands, Plum got the impression that Jedediah was a nice man, but something in Jedediah's eyes told Plum that it would not be wise to cross the man. As they finished exchanging pleasantries, Prolius called out,
Drake! Drake came back into the room, and Prolius said with a satisfied smile, "You have done well. You are dismissed from your duties as delegate, and you may return to the kingdom of Shine. However, I will not let you go without first saying goodbye to Plum." Drake, looking at Plum for a long time, said, "Well, this is the end of our time together, or at least until you have finished your schooling. You're in good hands, Plum, and the best part is that you'll be able to write and keep in touch with me during your stay at the school. Also, you will be able to write to your mother and tell her how the trip has been." Plum felt many mixed emotions rise up in his chest, and as he went towards Drake and gave him a hug, Plum could hardly contain his tears. They hugged each other for a long time. Even though Plum had only met him a few short weeks ago, he felt like he had known Drake for a lifetime. After the exchanges, Drake left and closed the door behind him. "Now," said Prolius, "your training shall start immediately after you've got yourself settled into the dormitory. Your first task shall be to go to the Wand Master as soon as possible." Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Prolius said, "Ah, the tailor! Good! He is here!" The door opened, and a man in a black suit appeared with a tape measure in hand. He quickly rushed over to Plum to do the necessary measurements, as if he could have done this in his sleep. Opening up a notebook, he took down the measurements quickly, checking twice to make sure that the figures were accurate. He worked busily, noting the length of Plum's arms, down the inside of his legs, and around his waist, chest, and neck. All the while he spoke quietly to himself, writing the numbers down. Plum thought this was all very strange, but he grinned and bore it. After the tailor had done the necessary measurements, he left the room. "Now," Prolius began, "Jedediah, he is now officially in your care. Please take him to the dorm, and then to the Wand Master as quick as may be." Jedediah led Plum out of the office, down the corridor, and back to the Hall of Ceremonies. They went through an archway and into the inner courtyard. Plum could see students, all hooded and cloaked in black from head to foot, but he could not make out any of their features. He thought to himself, "Is that the uniform they wear? Strange." Jedediah led him to a door, unlocked it, and motioned for Plum to enter. Plum did so. He could see that they were in a long hallway, with many doors on either side. They continued down the hallway when finally they came to the last door. Jedediah unlocked it with his master key. Inside was a bedroom, with 5 single beds on either side of the rectangular room. A small washroom was at the end. "This," Jedediah began, "is your dormitory. Please make yourself comfortable. Oh, and your uniform has just arrived." He He pointed over to the bed. Plum, looking at the clothes, said, "You want me to wear this?"
Jedediah said, "Yes, unfortunately. It is policy for you to do so if you're going to be part of the school. Quickly now. Go into the bathroom and get changed. I'll be waiting for you." Plum took the uniform and went into the bathroom. After a few minutes, he came out wearing his new clothes. Jedediah said, "You're dressed in your apprentice's blacks. Excellent. You can only take your blacks off once you have left the school." The apprentice's blacks themselves consisted of plain black robe, made not from cotton or wool, but of some sort of heavy material that you couldn't see through or make out any distinctive features of the figure underneath. The hood itself was a standard hood, but with a strange cloth veil stitched over the top that hung down across the face, masking the features of the individual. There were soft cloth-like black gloves that covered the apprentice's hands so that no skin revealed itself on the body. There were also black silk slippers that fitted snugly. Plum thought it was incredibly strange to be completely covered, but one reassuring look from Jedediah made him reconsider. Then they left the dormitory. Jedediah led Plum out of the courtyard and back into the hall of ceremonies. They turned right, and Plum could see that they were heading up a hill towards the small cottage on the school grounds. As they got closer to the cottage, Jedediah told Plum, "This is the Wandmaster's cottage." Jedediah knocked on the door 3 times. A voice from inside called, "Yes?" "It's Jedediah. I am here about the boy's wand." "Do you have it ready?" "Yes, I have it ready," said the voice behind the door. The door swung open, and inside was a man with a black moustache and short, neat hair. "Come in. My name is Otis," he said cheerfully. "I am the resident hermit and the wand maker for the school." The inside of Otis's house was nothing to boast about. The plain furnishings were quite unremarkable. There was a fireplace, a chair, and a cauldron sitting over the fire, bubbling away. Otis went over to a long line of shelves which he had organized neatly against one wall. He went to the end drawer, pulled it open, and pulled out a package.